Hello, long time no see tubers, and welcome back to an update video with me, BlueAnkylo. That's my YouTube name anyway. So for today's update video, August 2019, we're going to talk about the state of some Let's Plays that have started this year and maybe sort of fallen off, the streaming situation, a little bit about my computer hardware, and I don't know, general Let's Play stuff. So if you're interested in that, hang on out. I'll probably ramble for half an hour like usual. Just to start off with, I'm playing some OC remixed video game music in the background. Hopefully not too loud or anything. This should show you the name down here at the bottom of your screen. So as the playlist continues, you can check them out if you're interested. I like OC Remix, by the way. Just plug them a little bit. They're pretty awesome. You're allowed to use their music. Like, you don't get content ID flagged for it, as far as I know. So it's pretty cool, and I like this pretty nice remixes. Anyway. So, BlueAnkylo, hey guys, it's me, your friend, your pal, BlueAnkylo. Look at all these people that watch. Crazy. Thousands of you guys. It's awesome. So, the main reason we're doing this Let's Update is it's been a while, and I think I'm finally mostly settled on my current hardware install. So, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the playlists, or at least Let's Plays, specifically the ones from this year that have sort of fallen off. Some of you guys might be Shining Force or Wing Commander fans, or Lobotomy Corp, or I don't know what else we've been doing lately. Final Fantasy 1, all the Dragon Quest. I get requests to do more of that. There's always the older games that people want to see more of. I mean, I would like to do another XCOM one. There's so many things. One of my big problems, let's just say this right off, I've got more games that I would like to Let's Play than time to do the Let's Plays. So, I know everyone wants more. Lots of people want more Might and Magic. We'll see. Maybe one day. Anyway, so let's just talk about these games sort of as we go through it. Also, by the way, Patreon's been pretty awesome. I don't really like to name people very much, but if you're one of the awesome 6, thumbs up to you. You get a Ankylo badge of achievement. I know some people like to put on a list of all their supporters and stuff. I like to keep it a little bit more anonymous. You guys know who you are, and I definitely appreciate anything that anyone wants to donate to the channel. It's super, super cool. If anyone else wants to, I'll try to remember to leave a link or something like that. Only donate what you're okay with. Like, I don't want anyone giving me any money that they're not comfortable spending, basically. I don't need it, per se. It just helps the channel, helps pay for hardware and software for the channel for the most part. I don't really use it to, like, make a big... This or the ad rev from YouTube. None of this turns into, like, buying cool pizzas and, I don't know, fancy vacations. It just goes into the channel for the most part. Because it's just a fun hobby I like to do. So that's the thing with Patreon. Cool. In case everyone's wondering, I do have that Steam group. You can check it out. It's, sometimes not particularly used, but I did use it to talk about the computer upgrade, which maybe I deleted at some point. Oh, yeah, the donation goal. Right. So I talked about, like, the in-depth details of what I was going to do with my big CPU build for 2019. We've got a list for sort of I don't update this super often, but this is where I try to keep track of games I'd like to Let's Play or take suggestions. This is a good place to leave suggestions, and then I delete them and add them to the list or whatever. But point is, I like to have this for people to reference or occasionally, rather than just on random videos across thousands of videos. It's kind of nice to have a place. And, people can do whatever they want. It's fine. It's a Steam group. I am working on a Discord group. I have just barely set it up. I know Discord's kind of the new thing for game chatters. I'm not a huge Discord user, but I do have. I made a little BlueAnkylo group. All these things hopefully will be links in the description if I remember. But again, there's not a lot of people in Discord, so if you want to be an early adopter, you can join early, I guess. But I don't do much with it just yet. So for now, it's just getting set up. So the computer, let's talk a little bit about the build. I did do a little bit of a donation drive, and again, huge thank you to anyone who contributed, whether it was through Super Chats or, Super Chats, straight PayPals, Patreons, just watching videos, showing up for live streams, whatever. A huge round of thank you and applause for all you guys. That definitely helped. This is User Benchmark. It's a fairly low-key benchmark app you can use to do a quick test. I don't know if I agree with the result ratings. There's some controversy on how they grade multi-core CPUs, which I did go for an 8-core rather than a 4-core quad-core because of specifically recording and streaming. It was helpful. Anyway, the parts essentially, I was just showing this off. It's that's the specific motherboard. If you guys can read that, I can zoom it a little bit more here. That's the specific motherboard I ended up buying. I've got 16 gigabytes of RAM. I still just use the old 1080p monitor, so nothing crazy. We're going to talk about that later. And doesn't actually say the CPU. That's weird. Anyway, it's a Ryzen 2700X, so it's last year's model, high end, I guess. I know the 3000 series just came out, but they're so expensive. I don't want to spend that much money, even if they're a bit better. And this one went on a huge sale. I picked it up on, I think it's Amazon Prime Day or something. It was a really, really good deal, and it is a good, solid CPU, so I figured that'll last me for a while. And it's weird because like the per core speed isn't much different than my old CPU, but my old CPU was like 7 or 8 years old, so it was probably time. So anyway, hopefully this will last me for a while. And theoretically, the motherboard I have could take in a 3000 something, you know, and maybe next year's model. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so that's nice. Graphics card's actually performing poorer lately. I think this is like a Windows issue. Again, we'll talk about that in a second. But I think I ended up buying this one because my old one, the fans died or something. This wasn't meant to be like a big upgrade. It was just, I didn't want to spend $5,000 upgrading a broken video card kind of thing. It'll certainly be the next thing to look into for the system, and it'll make certain newer games easier to live stream or record, but I'm not going to worry about this for now. And then, you know, I've got a cool SSD. If you haven't jumped onto the SSD bandwagon, you should probably do that one of these days. And then I've got some cool storage drives. This is the specific RAM that we use. Basically, I didn't actually say it out loud, of course. The donation drive, the viewer-assisted purchase resulted in a new motherboard, a new RAM, and the CPU. Nothing else. So pretty cool. I've managed to get an amazing clock speed on the memory kit. I'm really good at RAM, apparently. Whatever. Don't believe these numbers too much. Apparently, this is faster than possible, so, you know, pretty awesome, right? How do you get 116% score? That's dumb. But, yeah, these scores don't matter too much. I really don't put much weight into these sorts of things. I know my video card is the weakest link at the moment, but I also don't plan on using a higher resolution monitor or anything, so it's not that big a deal generally. Anyway, so that's, you know, just kind of the state of those. So the big problem with the Let's Play channel hobby thing lately has actually been Windows 10. I just stole this from Google. You know, someone else made this. I didn't do it. I don't take credit for it, but I agree with the score. I've been on Windows 7 for the last however long since Windows 7 came out with a service pack, which is probably a fair while now, I guess. And I know Windows 8, no one really liked Windows 8, and then Windows 9 was actually Windows 10, so okay. So it makes it sound like you're more generations back than you really are. But, like, Windows 10 has done nothing but foil me ever since I installed it. Like, when I did the rebuild for the computer, all the hardware stuff went fine. Like, I'm reasonably tech savvy. I should turn the music up a little bit. We're on, it's a little bit quiet in the background there. We'll see how that handles out. It's just some nice Donkey Kong relaxing music. Anyway, so, you know, I did all the hardware rebuild, no big deal, plugged everything in, worked right away. So, you know, I covered all the hardware angle, 100%, no problem. Everything's working to specs, BIOS is cool. All you tech-savvy people know the anxiety of rebuilding your computer, putting in a new motherboard on the same power supply, and, you know, all that stuff. I wasn't 100% sure it would all work super well. And because I was on Windows 7, which is definitely getting to the end of its life, and certain games and softwares are no longer super compatible with it anymore, I'm like, well, I guess I'll finally bite the bullet and pick up Windows 10. All right. And, you know, nowadays, rather than the old CD, DVD, on the old days, floppy disks installation, nowadays you can use USB drives to copy your files over, which is way faster. So, you know, USB to an SSD, installing files in an entire operating system, actually not that hard. So, like, I, you know, put the computer together, plugged in the USB drive with the up-to-date Windows 10. The thing installed in, like, maybe 15-20 minutes. So I'm like, you know, this has been very successful. That was the high. That was the top of, I'm like, hey, everything I built, put together, Windows 10 installed. I knew I had a big ton of work to do getting it all customized, everything installed for Let's Playing, and all this. I do a fair bit of customizing of my operating systems. You know, I'm closer to a power user than a whatever the not power users are. Anyway, so, you know, I like it the way I like it. So I get everything installed super fast, boots up. I'm like, you know, that wasn't so bad. Obviously, Windows 10 looks a little different than Windows 7, but it does the same basic stuff. Cool. And, you know, I start changing things around a little bit, install, because I like to use open source software, so I get my own web browser and media player and Word document editor, all that stuff. You know, there's lots of stuff to download, all that, pretty standard. All the stuff for recording and streaming takes a whole bunch of time. That's all normal, no big deal. And then Windows 10 decides to start doing updates. Oh boy! It did not like updating on my computer. So, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty for too long, but basically, the night I rebuilt and installed Windows 10, I had everything pretty solid after about an hour. And then I turned the computer to restart to install whatever it said it needed to update. I don't remember the specific versions and content packs and whatever. And then it's like turning off, please wait while we install your updates. And it sat there for like 2 hours. And I'm getting pretty tired because it's pretty late at night at this point. But eventually it restarts and, oh, you check out, failed to install updates. I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm going to sleep. This is ridiculous. And then I spent the next, like, week, probably the next full week, trying to get Windows 10 to update properly, all the way down to going to Windows, manually downloading updates, turning off automatic update, installing them one by one on my own just to get it to actually patch properly. Completely tried to turn off Windows Defender. I'll just install my own antivirus system and stuff. Like, I don't need to use any of this Windows stuff, really. I can turn it off, just run my own stuff, no big deal. So like, if basically the idea is like, if the antivirus updates aren't working, I'll have my own side software that works for sure. You know, like I tend to use like Malwarebytes and a couple other ones. I forget the names off the top of my head, but you know, you don't have to use Windows for everything as much as they would like you to. But I couldn't get it to work, or well, it took like a week to get it basically fully updated with all the whatever the modern, it's like 1902 or something version updates. I'm like, okay, I get all that done. It took a lot more fighting than I've ever had in a long time with the operating system, so I was pretty tired at that point. So, you know, you get to choose. Windows has like a don't update ever again, except that what it means is don't update for like a week or a month or something. So I'm like, okay, I really don't want to have to deal with this, turn the computer off, and then have it pop back on when I need to, like, you know, record or something. So the first stream, I was like, okay, part of the reason we built this computer and installed this stuff was so that we could have more CPU for live streams, and I could do stuff a little bit easier with you guys, play a little bit different games, have less or better video quality, I guess. Right before the stream starts, some of you guys might remember, I was like, all right, post the stream for like 7 o'clock my time or something. And then right before the stream, I'm like, I should probably just restart it because I've been installing a lot of stuff. So you know how drivers and video cards and stuff, they like to finish some installs after you restart your computer. I'm like, I'll just do one quick restart, make sure everything's fresh for the live stream. Nope, same thing, locked for 2 hours. Basically, well, technically you can force the computer to shut off, but it's generally not a good idea to turn the power off while it's trying to update, you know, the operating system. That tends to be frowned upon. So totally missed the first live stream with Windows 10, and I was so mad. So I tried again the next day, and you know, we could stream, it's fine. Then the game we were streaming, of course. Now this is maybe not, it's not that one. Hold on, where is it? This one. So maybe this wasn't Windows 10's fault, but we started Let's Playing this game back on Windows 7, and it wasn't super stable, as an indie game sometimes isn't. But it was definitely playable, and I could get around a couple crashes once in a while. Ever since I installed Windows 10, though, this game is super unreliable. Memory leaks, crashes. We tried a couple live streams. I took a bit of a break, obviously, for a couple weeks just to cool my head. Also, temperature got a bit high. It's kind of less fun when it's hot to record for me. But, you know, last night I tried to do another, like, get back into it. We're almost at the end of the game. For those of you watching along in the future, you know, we were nearly finished this game. And like 5 minutes into the gameplay, hard freeze, like complete system log. I couldn't even move the mouse or anything. Like, something about the game in Windows 10 just crashed everything. It like crashed all my audio drivers, crashed like OBS, my streaming software, just everything was just wrecked. I've never seen it get wrecked that bad. And we tried a couple times, so the game's unplayable basically, or at least unplayable while I'm streaming. So that was really frustrating. And this has been kind of the story of 2019. So if there's a theme for today's update video, it's about software not working. So this is unfortunate. What does this mean for the channel? I'm going to try maybe not streaming, because we're so close to the end. I'm going to try to just record it locally and see if I can get through the last, section. If I can't, then I'm going to have to call it quits, because it's just so frustrating right now. I like the game, but I might not be able to finish it just due to technical difficulties. And I hate, like, if you've been around the channel for a while, one of my, like, recurring themes, or one of my mottos, one of my foundational goals or something, whatever you want to think about it, is if I start a Let's Play, I finish it. I hate seeing on other channels when someone gets to episode 5 or 10 or something, and then that's the end of it, the series is dropped. Obviously, sometimes there's good reasons, but it always bugged me in the early days of the Let's Plays, when you'd find someone you liked, or a game you liked, and they get like halfway through it and then they just stop. And so I'm like, I'm never going to do that, or at least I will try not to. So if I can't finish this, I'm going to be mad at myself and the computer. Obviously, there's reasons for it sometimes, but anyway, that's the story about Lobotomy Corp. I'm not going to give up on it just yet, but I'm getting close. Now, speaking of technical difficulties, so we got to Windows. Wing Commander 2, this was a while ago. This was before the rebuild. This is going to be kind of hard to explain, but we finished the main campaign, Wing Commander 2. And then there are 2 sort of expansion packs included with it nowadays. It's like Special Ops or something. I think Wing Commander 1 was Secret Missions, and then I think Wing Commander 2 was Special Ops. Anyway, it's just the expansions. They just continue the story of your main dudes. And I'm like, this was like a few months ago. I was really in the mood. I was enjoying the game. And what happened was, every time you're traveling between 2 nav points and you use your autopilot, it would take longer and longer. It would do the animation for the travel, and then it would sort of pause. It would freeze. Like you couldn't do anything. You'd just be waiting. And it would take like a few seconds. And then you would blip into existence where you're supposed to be. Like it was working. The auto travel was working, but it added a lot of time. Rather than taking a couple seconds, it added like 5 seconds. And what seemed to happen, and I was timing it eventually, was it was adding like 2 or 3 seconds every time I used the autopilot until I completely restarted the game. So even between missions, like you could do a mission and then another mission and then another mission, and every time, like you might do 2 autopilots in the first mission and 3 autopilots in the second. Every single time I did autopilot, it added like 2 or 3 seconds. So by the time you've done a few missions, you're waiting for like 30 seconds, and I'm just sitting here trying to record the game, right, with you guys, and I'm just watching a black screen for like 10, 20, 30 seconds, unless I restart over and over again. And even still, it was certainly annoying. And I did some troubleshooting, and I tried to figure it out. I changed some settings. I couldn't fix it. So that sort of bummed me out a little bit, and I'll take a hit that I couldn't figure it out. And I haven't tried since then. I'm kind of out of the zone. I lost the drive. So Wing Commander 2, we finished the main story. That's good enough for now. Maybe one day I'll come back for the Special Ops, or we'll just jump to Wing Commander 3. I don't know for sure. For now, it's on hold. I got far enough. I did complete the game. I just didn't do the extra stuff. So that was technical difficulty number 2 of the update. Let's talk about technical difficulty number 3. So Shining Force CD, another recent Let's Play. We did finish Book 1, or Gaiden 1, which was fun. It's a fairly simple, straightforward strategy RPG. This is not like a super complicated one, which is what we're going to talk about soon. I enjoyed it, and I was planning on doing Book 1 and Book 2, and then maybe Book 3 or 4. 3 or 4 aren't like full stories the way I understand it. They're more... One of them is kind of like an arena mode or something, and the other one's kind of a... I can't remember. I haven't looked into them too much, but the point is, Book 1 and 2 are the standard games, and 3 or 4 are kind of like extra content. So we finished Book 1. I was going to start Book 2, but what happened was that the emulator I was using that made the recording work well, I forget the name of it, Kega, I think? Kega Fusion, sounds familiar. It wasn't able, for the CD version, it's fine for like normal Genesis ROMs, but for the CD-ROM specifically, it wasn't able to make, like I could make save states, but I couldn't make, whatever they call them, like the real save files, the save files that are associated with the in-game memory, or the in-system memory. It could use like your computer save states, but it's a little different. So the problem was that the game couldn't read my previous save files. Like, we could keep playing it, obviously, because I could make save states, but the game didn't know that I'd finished Book 1. So I'm like, well, this is dumb. I mean, like, I can play Book 2. Book 2 doesn't really import anything from Book 1. That's fine. They're separate stories. But if we ever want to do Book 3 or 4, we need those characters to be leveled up, or else... Well, for one, Book 3 won't even unlock unless you finish Book, I think, 1 and 2 on the save file. So I was like kind of salty about that, and I did find a way around it. I had to use a different emulator that took a ton of work, and eventually I found a place that would save. Again, sheesh, it's like the some of you guys will probably be way more familiar with it than I am. I forget the name of all this stuff, but there's oh, it's like a multi-emulator system. It's really good for emulating like all sorts of old consoles, including like it's not MAME, but it covers stuff like arcade emulators and all these old things, and it's very customizable. But it's a lot of fiddling around, and it kind of wiped me out. But by the time I had Book 2 working and saving, I was like, okay, I need a break. So Shining Force CD Book 2 is ready to Let's Play whenever I feel like going through that again, reinstalling it in Windows 10. Another downside of the upgrade. And I will try to get to that eventually, but again, I kind of lost the motivation. Like I feel like that's one of my own sort of self-criticisms here, is once I lose kind of interest in a game, it's really hard to go back to it. So I definitely do want to finish Shining Force CD Book number 2 eventually. It's just not right now. So it's going to be put on hold for a while. And I will try to, though, on the other hand, find some similar games to cover the hole there, let's say, which is what I am still interested in. So Lobotomy Corp was supposed to kind of fill that hole a little bit, but it turned into more of a stream game than a normal Let's Play. Anyway, this is the other reason why I've been a little bit sidetracked lately. This game came out, I don't know, a month ago or something. What's time, anyway? This has been my game of the year, pretty much for sure, actually. If you've got a Switch and you like Fire Emblem, you should probably get it. I'm pretty sure I'd give this a 10 out of 10 or a 9.5 out of 10. I don't want to get into all of it too much right now, but really, really good. It's not the hardest Fire Emblem by any means, so it's pretty accessible for new players, I would say. But yeah, it's good. It's good. It's got a good story. Got, you know, interesting writing, better writing. Like, I was looking back at some of my other Fire Emblem Let's Plays, because I was thinking maybe I'd do Hector mode for Fire Emblem, just Fire Emblem on the Game Boy Advance, but the one that's actually Blazing Sword, I believe. 7? Fire Emblem 7, yeah. And, like, the story for that game is terrible. Like, if you ever try to go back to the plot with Nurgle and all the other idiots in that game, it's a terrible story. Like, it's really not good. The plot, the writing, it's not good. Maybe not as bad as, like, Echoes. Or not Echoes, sorry, Fates. Fates on the 3DS is, like, the worst writing. But, you know, there's been some pretty poor Fire Emblem stories in the modern years. This one is not like that, anyway. So what I'm trying to say is this one is good. It has good writing, good gameplay, it's accessible. Lots of fun, lots of fun. So that got me looking into some of the other Fire Emblems, like I was saying, right? So this is a Super Nintendo game. This is a Super Nintendo game, Super Famicom, I guess, technically. I don't think these were ever released in English or North America. In fact, I'm sure they weren't. Because one of the reasons I haven't ever played or Let's Played these is because they were never translated to English. Now, there has been fan patches, and that's one of the reasons why I'm looking at these two little screenshots here. This is Fire Emblem 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5, which is also known as Thracia 776. So Thracia 776 in Japanese. At least the numbers are right. This one's really hard. This is like generally regarded as one of the harder Fire Emblems in the series, if not the hardest. Like it's up there in difficulty, so I'm like, ooh, that's cool. And this one has traditionally never had a good translation. There'd be like one that would translate the menus, but not the story, and one that would translate the story, sort of, but not the menus. And I just never had the patience to fight through it. But I always heard good things. Well, as of 2019, look at the top of your screen, this game is, I believe, fully, or it's maybe not perfectly translated, but it is now completely translated. There's one patch that goes through the entire game and should be fully playable. We might still have some edits, just like when we did Shining Force 3. There's always room for improvement on these fan packs. But I believe it's done, essentially. You know, air quoted done. It's ready to go. So, that's cool. And, but the thing is, these two games are related. This is Genealogy of the Holy War is kind of the big main game, Fire Emblem 4. And then Thracia 776 kind of happens in the middle of this game. But they're both quite good. They're different, so they're a lot different from the modern Fire Emblems, and I kind of think that this is going to be my next Let's Play. Because I've spent so much time in Fire Emblem, and I was looking for kind of a replacement for Shining Force. Anyway, this will be a little bit deeper, more thinky kind of strategy RPG. So that's what I'm thinking. Also, much easier to record. Like, I just want to say, for the record, recording a Super Nintendo game, super, super easy compared to, like, Lobotomy Corporation or some fancy 3D game. Like, I could just switch my channel over and only do Super Nintendo games forever, and my life would be so much easier. I could just... Oh, man, recording is so much easier when you're just using a Super Nintendo. You know, emulator or otherwise, anyway. You could capture card it or something, but... Anyway, so that's kind of my plan. I'm probably going to do genealogy, and this is going to be a long one. Like, this is not a short game, so I may or may not follow it up with Thracia right away, or this might come after a while, a bit of a break. But yeah, I want to do this. We'll talk more about it once I actually make an introduction video, but there's definitely, like, if you are familiar with Three Houses or the other more recent Fire Emblem games, this is going to be a bit of a culture shock, because this is going quite a long ways back. It does have, like, weapon durability and sort of supports, but there's a lot of things that are a lot different than the new games. And then this one, again, is really weird. In this game, Thracia 776, you can... You know how in, like, the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblems, you can capture... Or not capture, you can rescue. You can capture your friends and move them around. So you have, like, a constitution and an aid stat, and your horses can move people around and sort of... It's actually quite cool how that all works in the Game Boy Advance games. That's one of the reasons I like them. Well, this game, you can do that with enemies. It's not quite as easy as picking up an ally, but you can pick up an enemy. And after you've captured an enemy, they're essentially out of combat, you can steal all their weapons. Like, normally, if you're familiar with stealing in these games, normally you can only steal unequipped items, and often not even weapons still, but usually you can steal, like, I don't know, some treasure, some gold, a ruby, a book, I don't know, you know, stuff like that, basically. In this game, you can just capture people, take all their cool weapons, and sell them for money. And that's pretty cool. So, it's got some interesting mechanics. There's, like, a fatigue system, and... I don't know, it's pretty complicated. So, I'm kind of looking forward to that, but I'm probably going to do genealogy first. This one has, like, a fancy-dancy pairing up having children. Before Awakening, there was Genealogy of the Holy War, which actually had the original... pairing people up and having children systems. So that's pretty cool. This one's cool. Hang on, I'm spending too much time talking about them. Once we get to those actual videos, we'll go into it in more depth. But that's what you can look forward to on the channel. Other than that, what's going on? At some point, I will continue the Dragon Quest series. I don't want to make any promises, but I would like to do Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6 at some point, seeing as we did 1, 2, and 3. Oh yeah, for those of you from the streams, Majora's Mask is another technical difficulty that stopped. After we finished the HD Ocarina of Time replay, basically, which was a lot of fun, and in fact, I recommend checking that out. The mods and stuff made this work really nicely. I tried to do Majora's Mask, but again, so many technical difficulties. I had all kinds of weird slowdown glitches, and just the timing wasn't working, and I feel bad again. I never released any videos on YouTube, just it was only live streamed. But yeah, Majora's Mask, I think, is also on hold. Similarly, there's a Battlestar Galactica Deadlock that I was live streaming that never made it to YouTube. I was recording those, but I never uploaded them. That one didn't have technical difficulties, but it was more getting very, very grindy. Like, Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, cool strategy game if you want to check it out. I don't think I'll be playing it anymore anytime soon, because as fun as it is, it gets very grindy. Like, maybe I shouldn't have played it on hard mode, but you can do the same battles over and over again, and it wasn't making for interesting content to record. I'll probably always be willing to do another Final Fantasy 1 randomizer or some point. So those of you that like the solo challenges, I know these videos get quite a lot of hits. I'll probably do some more of these at some point. They're fun. In terms of the Final Fantasy series, we've done all the games 1 to 6 at least once. If I added them in here properly, yeah, with some mods and stuff. I will consider 7, 8, and 9 at some point, but they're different. I like the sprite-based Final Fantasies the most. At 7's good. Like, you know, I don't want to start a flame war here, but one day maybe 7, 8, and 9. I hear 8 is getting a remaster on Steam at some point, so you're gonna have a version of 8 on PC that's okay. So that's interesting. 7 is obviously getting the big remake on PS4, which probably is just gonna turn into Kingdom Hearts. So I don't know about that. But yeah, you know, there's some Final Fantasy in the future. Theoretically, there's some more XCOM coming in terms of games. Phoenix Point's coming out, except it's going to be an Epic exclusive, so not buying that. Maybe once it's actually on a not Epic store, I'll look into Phoenix Point. There should be Xenonauts 2 coming out at some point, so I might check that out. These are the kind of games that are coming out, and if they're cool and fun, it might end up on the channel. Obviously, Might Magic 9 is missing here. I actually am more interested in 10, which is just X, which is the more recent sort of... It's not like the old ones, but I might do Might Magic X. I might do 9. 9 is buggy and glitchy and not really great, but, you know, I haven't actually played it all the way through before, so maybe we'll get to that one day. I've been thinking about doing Metroid Prime 2 for a while. I think I forgot... I feel like I'm missing a Metroid game in this list here. Anyway, I always like more Metroids. I heard the Metroid Prime 4 has also been announced, although that'll probably take a couple years. But, yeah, you know, we've got some more Metroid. Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm looking at for the most part. Hopefully that keeps you guys interested in the future. Hello, unsubscribed tubers. Yeah. If you have any questions, you know, feel free to leave a comment or join the Steam group or something. I don't know. Hopefully that keeps you in the loop. Again, one last time, I appreciate all the Patreon supporters and helping me with my computer build stuff. That was all much appreciated. And I look forward to a hopefully more productive end of 2019. As the summer wraps up, it's a little bit easier on me. I really don't like recording in the heat. It's just... I know, like, I live in Vancouver, of course, so it's not hot by a lot of people's standards. But, like, once I get sweaty and I have to turn the fans on, I just don't like recording. It's just a personal preference sort of thing. But as we hit the fall, get closer to the fall, it'll be easier. I do intend to continue live streaming a little bit more frequently, although me and scheduled live streams are not a big thing. Or not a good thing, anyway. But I'll try to keep that up. I don't really know the next stream game. That's always a toss-up. I've been tossing around some Monster Hunter World, but I don't have a PS4 or an Xbox, whatever, so I'm not going to be able to do Iceborne, which comes out pretty soon, and that's pretty hyped, but that won't come out on PC till next year, so, you know, I'm kind of thinking I should take a break from Monster Hunter. That's my game of the year from a couple years ago, so I'll find something and we'll stream whatever. It should be fun, hopefully. That's the idea. That's why we do this, right? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for making it through a video, and I'll see ya when I see ya. You know, if you have any feedback for the channel, I don't say this every time, but, you know, feedback is appreciated as long as it's not, Blue, you suck. You know, if you have constructive criticism, feel free to let me know. I am always trying to improve. At least I say that, and then I don't do anything anyone says. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed, and you've got a little bit more information about the channel. I will see you next time.